synchronous general presentations that I have the honor to share with Professor Oyevole. Then there are, you can see them in the right, two forums. One of announcements that cannot receive answers are announcements to all the participants, and another, a general forum that really can receive answers and where the all questions related in general, not to the specific courses, but in general, can be discussed. For each of the MOOCs, there are introductory texts, and you have also the chapters of the materials that I have presented before, transformed in learning units, in some cases supported by additional materials. You can see with this that, as I said before, the effort by all participants is very great. We are grateful to all participants, and I think we must all recognize the effort they are doing through this period of 11 weeks. The MOOC series comprises videos. The first two videos were to the left, the video by Professor Oyevole in the presentation, followed by a video of myself, and then there are video presentations for each of the MOOCs. Here you have presented the introduction to MOOC 2 by Enoch Asmelash Birhanu, an Ethiopian who is now professor of international law at the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom, and another presentation by Professor Kibrome Mekonnen-Halle that you will have the opportunity to hear in a few minutes, also from Ethiopia, a former dean of one of the best faculties of laws in the country. Then the MOOCs comprise not only the video presentations in general and for each of the MOOCs, but also video presentations for each learning unit. Let's say for each of the chapters of the materials, accompanied often by additional materials. You have in the screen the presentation by Bail Vengelun. You all know him. I don't know if he remains in Accra, but he was here for the meeting of the advisory board earlier this week. You know, Vail is a former president of the best and biggest university in Morocco and former president of the University President's Conference in Morocco. Then one of the videos by the Secretary General of the University Council of East Africa, Professor Gaspar Barrienvona. Another video by Mafini Dosso, researcher at the Joint Research Center in Sevilla, PhD in one of the best universities in Europe, in Paris, and from Ivory Coast. Again, Professor Kibrome Mekonnen, and our very good and respected and loved friend, Professor Charmaine Villet, the Dean of the Faculty of Education in the University of Namibia. So these are only 5 screenshots. There could have been 15 because each learning unit had each presentation. Then to the right of this slide, you see that the MOOCs also comprised for each learning unit one quiz or test that was conceived not as a vulgar, I would say, a means of assessment, but as an element of the training process. We suggested the participants to download the tests, even to print them, and to keep them in front of them when studying the materials, because the test focuses for each learning unit the main issues that should be studied and digested and metabolized by students. The test had 7 or 10 questions on basic issues, depending whether each MOOC had only 3 or 4 or 5 chapters. And the tests are self-assessed by the system. Don't ask me why, because this is informatic and electronic witchery that really I'm very bad about. But that Eloy Exposito in Barcelona and the techno experts in pedagogical issues and online training that we hire know how to do them. And finally, the MOOCs comprise 2 discussions forum. The first took place in a week after MOOCs 1 and 3 and was an enormous success. It received more than 500 interventions, which is quite a lot. Of course, of an equal extension and quality, but some of them extremely relevant. And I think this was one of the best experiences of this series, conceived, of course, as a pilot edition to be developed and multiplied in the future, that gave us extreme hope for the final outcome of the book series, which I will come to in the next slide. And next week this week and the first days of the following week is taking place another forum for MOOC 6, which is a horizontal MOOC, horizontal to the 5 previous ones, in which we try to develop transversal skills and transversal knowledge from all other participants. And as a very specific element or component of the book series, there is the final essay, short but dense, that will have to be written by all participants. They will have to be submitted next week, and each of the essays will be evaluated both by the faculty and by 2 peer participants in order to enhance the collective dimension of the whole implementation of the MOOCs. We have suggested the training team 6 topics on which these essays could be developed. Maybe you like to listen the 6 topics we have suggested. The first is the recognition, the need to differentiate in 3 aspects to discuss where best to tackle them. The second is the need to differentiate between quality as a dimension of higher education and quality assurance as an instrument, with some complementary questions. The third is the need to adapt to the situation in Africa and to redefine, in particular in the framework of international cooperation, the 3 functions of universities. The fourth is the need to adopt a radical new approach concerning curricula's design and implementation. The fifth, the need to adopt a radical new approach concerning, the need to adapt the prioritization of higher education dimensions and the use of higher education instruments. And the sixth, the need to establish priorities in higher education policy. Let's see how the essays will be presented and assessed. They have to be presented next week. So today we can only be hopeful. And all this makes sense because the main objective of this HAQAA MOOC series is to advance in the creation of a permanent HAQAA African learning and advocacy community network on higher education that could develop, grow in the future, animated by the Association of African Universities and Obreal Global. Please notice the two terms, learning and advocacy. We all assume Professor Olusola Yevole is the first always to insist in it, that we must all continue to learn. The distinction between teachers and learners is very often misleading because it seems to assume that teachers are people who already know everything and learners cannot contribute to teaching. And both assumptions are absolutely wrong. The teachers are the first that we must continue to learn. And what's better to learn than the lessons your learners colleague can give to you and can give to each other. So learners, a community of learners, and an advocacy community. Again, Professor Oyevole insists always in the need to be proactive. Proactive is a neologism. It didn't exist 40 years ago, and I tend to criticize the use of neologism. However, let's use it here. It seems clear that institutions everywhere in Africa, in particular, cannot be led by events, but must anticipate events and must be active or proactive. This is what this community of learners should be in the future. Push, move, give ideas, suggest initiatives, not to be implemented by them. There is always a distinction between politicians who have to do their job of policy design and implementation and people who must have the obligation to push politicians and to give ideas to them. And this would be this HAQAA community network that could be brought to life as a result of this MOOC series. Dear Ursula, I think that this is all, and I have already been too long. So please, I will stop here from Barcelona. Merci à tous. Bonjour. Bon dia. Je vais finir tout simplement en disant que l'édition française des matériaux et des cours est déjà en route et que nous sommes en train de preparer Inversal en lengua portuguesa también.
Thank you very much,
good day.
Ramon Torres. We really appreciate your presentation and your leadership in the development of this book that is made up of 322 pages. And as he has mentioned, each one of us present here, by next week, you will have a copy of this book. And to let you know that according to him, it's an open book, it's a living book that's non-prescriptive. And the massive online open course is ongoing right now. It started sometime in October, 5th of October. It will be ending by end of next week. And we can repeat this many times. And we hope that when you get hold of this book, this is a book that emphasizes how higher education can be the motivator of regional integration in Africa. I have some of the authors here. I'm one of them. And I will give room to my friend from Ethiopia to come forward here and say a brief on his contribution to that book. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. It's very difficult to follow such experienced professor and to be again sandwiched between another highly authoritative scholar on higher education matters in Africa. But I'll try my best to, in short, share my experience in preparing the material as well as attending the MOOC series. The most important point is factually have been presented by Professor Ramon, but in terms of experiencing the actual unfolding of the training, how have we tested this different pillars of the material is the main focus of my talk. First, the very idea of the material, as is indicated in the material as well as in Professor Ramon's presentation, is not to sell a model, but to open discussion, create opportunity for young and upcoming African scholars to find a way, a path that solves the problems that we face in African higher education sector. So from the discussions in the forums, from the engagement of the various stakeholders in the MOOC series, it was interesting to see how innovative, how creative, and how passionate participants were to the idea of creating an African-owned solution to the problems in the higher education sector. So this has been a testament to the idea of creating the opportunity for people to discuss and come up with solutions rather than prescribing models on how to solve our problems. The other aspect of the MOOC series was its nature as an open, as a living material. And an interesting finding was many people were in fact contributing to the contents of the material, suggesting additions to what has already been presented in the materials. As it is, the material is a very big material, a wide material, but the suggestions that came from participants that enrich the materials was also an opportunity for us to learn and truly express the living nature of the material so that future editions can be both diversified in terms of content, language, coverage, and so on. And in making it accessible and open to all, in addition to contributing the contents of the material, participants were eager to have more participants enroll in the programs. As a pilot program, people had to register to the MOOC training and take each learning unit every week as scheduled, but people were asking for more opportunities to enroll in the programs, and this is also a good indicator as to the acceptability of the approach followed in the materials. In terms of the substance of the discussions, as has been highlighted in the previous presentation, there are 5 major parts other than the 6 MOOC, which is more of a forum for participants to discuss major topics. The first one was providing the analytical framework for contextualizing higher education regionalization in Africa in terms of the regional integration process that's ongoing in Africa. Because this is a constant theme, even in MOOC 3, where the issues are more issues of substance, and experience from the other regions suggest how regional integration and regionalization in higher education overlapped in the process. It was important to provide how to frame the issues, and participants were both asking questions, raising interesting ideas, and challenging preconceived beliefs about the regional integration processes. And it was an opportunity to bring regional integration discussions outside the realms of the usual places like the lawyers and the economists, but also to bring it to other fields or sciences as well. That was the first part of the book, the trainings that we experienced. Second one, it looks at African higher education integration in particular, and the regional integration in the economic and political spheres as well in Africa. And it presents the challenges of the multiplicity of initiatives that exist in Africa, the regional economic integrations that are going on, the different groupings, even within the region, the overlapping membership of different countries in multiple organizations. And it was a good experience for both those who prepared the material as well as those who were taking the training, is to see how these national and regional decisions by our countries affect day-to-day applications or day-to-day activities in our higher education institutions. And also, I hope from at the end of the MOOC series, we will get to see some concrete ideas how to go forward in addressing the challenges that are presented by the multiplicities of memberships in different regional integration processes by African countries, as well as how to enhance the opportunities that are presented by this overlapping membership. So this covers broadly the other themes in the MOOC trainings. So the issues of quality assurance, recognition, and others are also subject to this complex relationship between regional integration and regional regionalization in higher education. An important outcome, I believe, that was insisted from the very beginning, as pointed out by our boss, Professor Olushola, if I'm not, yeah, because yesterday
Okay.
we were taught how not to say Olusola, rather Olushola. So I'm trying to make sure that I use the correct term. So an important outcome is having a network. Our friend, in introducing the program, instructed us to leave at least knowing 2 more new people. Yes, and from observing the MOOC series, it was interesting for me in particular, because it was a rare opportunity to have more than 150 actively participating higher education stakeholders or scholars, academicians, policymakers in Africa, having an access to the experience in one or the other African country or region with just a click of a mouse. Okay? I wrote, for example, a chapter on the situation in Ethiopia, the higher education policy making and reform process in Ethiopia in light of the African regional integration. And it was like reading, it was like reading 54 chapters, because everyone from every country was contributing an idea on what has been raised in each learning unit. So this idea of creating a network between different people with different background, different geographic area, was really truly experienced in this process. I will not add much because Prof was instructed.
Thank you.
Time is up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is one of the contributors to the book. And let me also share with you my own contribution. Firstly, I was able to let us know the need for regional integration. And then I emphasize some barriers that Africans need to overcome for us to really experience regional integration. And 7 of them were highlighted. 1, I noted the multiplicity of membership of the regional economic blocs in Africa is affecting us. But one barrier that I'm passionate about is the lack of African funding to promote higher education in Africa. Most of the time, we depend on funding from outside Africa, and our allegiance appears to be to the North. We should not be. We need to break this barrier to our integration. I said, insufficient political leadership. And quite often, many of us are expecting leadership of our various countries. I think that those of us who are here, we are the leaders. It's high time those of us in East Africa work with South Africa, West Africa. I said, language barriers. We need to break this down. So please, this is a book that we need to connect to, and this massive online course. I learned that at least one person, is there anybody in the audience who is currently undergoing that course? The massive online course? Oh, we have at least 2. Can I give you 1 or 2 minutes to share with us your experiences? Yes, you can just come forward. They may want to see you so that they will see the type of people doing the courses. You may come up here. One after, yes. Please share your experiences with us in the course of this course. Yes, the mic is here.
In fact,
you may introduce yourself.
I'm Devarajan Veneditam from Mauritius. I'm also a participant of the MOOC series. But unfortunately, I won't say I'm stuck here, but the coincidence is that you put the same deadline for the workshop and the MOOC series also. So I'm unable to complete it unless you give us some extension. In fact, I was hoping to meet Professor Tarrant in person to ask him to extend. I convey this message to you also. But I can tell you I'm very impressed by the quality of the material. It's really complete, comprehensive, and very informative. So we are lucky that this material will be shared to everyone. And congratulations again.
Thank you very much. Next person.
Emmanuel Kambaja, je viens de la République démocratique du Congo. J'ai été inscrit à ce projet, j'ai beaucoup aimé. La formation, en fait, le matériel a été très simple et très bien conçu. Malheureusement, il n'a été qu'en anglais. Ce qui fait que, en plus de ma charge académique, ma charge administrative, j'ai été trop lent. Parce que, en fait, et d'ailleurs, je pense que c'est l'expérience de presque tous les francophones. Nous avons eu beaucoup de peine à aller au rythme de travail. Par exemple, la semaine prochaine, on termine, mais moi, j'ai pas encore fait mes devoirs. Il y a 2 leçons. Donc voilà, mais sinon, le matériel était très intéressant. Les matières étaient très pointues et très bien conçues. Félicitations à l'équipe.
Thank you very much.
Mais on souhaite vraiment que ce soit traduit et pour que la prochaine fois, nous soyons nombreux et qu'on aille vite.
Thank you.
Olusola, can I say a word?
Okay, you can, sir.
First, I must I'm moved by the 2 participants that have just spoken now. I will emphasize 2 points.
1 more. Probably let's listen to 2 more. 2 more participants who are still going to talk.
Okay.
Yes. Let's hear. Okay. Yes, over to you.
My name is Amali Oscar from the University of Lusaka. I'm the quality assurance at that university. I'm one of the participants undertaking the MOOC series. This is a very intensive course, and the material is very practical. And one thing that is so good about this course is that you don't only get to learn what is prescribed in the materials, but also, like they've said, you also get to learn by sharing ideas with the participants. So the participants are also able to provide additional information to what is already prescribed in the material. As a result, you keep learning new ideas and new processes that you can actually implement in the various institutions. So due to that magnitude of the information that we are grasping, I think for us who are here, we'll ask Ramon to extend the due date for the assignment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Dr. Michael Wangai. I'm the head of Quality Assurance, University of Nairobi, Kenya. I have been participating in this MOOC series. Two very important things. Academic freedom within it, flow of ideas, the foundations of and theoretical foundations of integration, the historical aspect, well captured by Professor Oyewole, Professor Ramon. I saw my lecturers there. I even greeted him by saying, I know you. Not that I met him, but I attended the videos. They are very rich. And if I want to encourage each one of us, if this is, I know it's pilot, we are giving our views to make it, refine it kindly. When now it is rolled out, I encourage all of you to participate in this. And if you are talking about African integration, economic integration, political integration in Africa, those are the materials to read and learn. Thank you very much.
So,
Ramon, over to you, Ramon.
Only two comments. Le premier en français, je dis et je répète que la préparation d'une édition française est en cours. La traduction des matériaux au français est en cours avec la collaboration de notre bonne et grande amie, professeure Aida Sibonio, la directrice régionale de l'Agence universitaire de la francophonie pour l'Afrique centrale et les Grands Lacs. Et nous avons l'espoir d'avoir cette traduction, sinon complètement prête, très avancée pour la fin de la période d'implémentation du contrat HAQAA2. Donc, ne vous préoccupez pas, l'édition française arrivera et arrivera, nous espérons, très tôt. Aussi, nous sommes en préparation, mais c'est un peu plus en arrière de l'édition en langue portugaise. Donc, ceci est en cours. The second comment is on the fact of the pilot edition that has been underlined by our friend from the Quality Assurance Unit at the University of Nairobi in Kenya. This is a pilot edition, and it's a pilot edition of a MOOC series to learn for learners, and the first learner here in this process is myself. So a learner has to learn. You have told me that the density and the intensity of the course is such that the period for making and submitting the assignments should be extended. Okay, if Professor Oyewole agrees, please agree or not. Olusola now, we will extend the period. This is decided today. one has to be quick in the reactions. I had sent an email, an announcement to the forum saying that participants would be done on the 18th of December in order to have them ended with the assignments before Christmas. Now we will extend this period. We must be sure that this pilot edition is well finalized before the end of the contract for HAQAA2 with the European Commission. But the end of this contract is on the 15th of February. And so we have time to extend for 2 or 3 weeks the period for the submission of the assignments. I see that you were agreeing, Olusola, so this is decided. I will send the announcement to the forum this afternoon. And of course, thanks for making us learn how such a dense program of online and blended training must be conducted. We will take care of this for the future. Thanks once again. Thanks a lot.
Is there anybody in the audience who want to say 1 or 2 things? I can see Professor Kebukola's hand.
Chair, I'd like to appreciate the efforts of Professor Ramon and the team. I feel quite excited about this MOOC. It's in the pilot phase of the run, and hopefully in HAQAA2, it will evolve to a higher grade. I listened to the testimonials. One is highly impressed with the experiences that the participants have learned, have gathered from the MOOC that have been run so far. Kibrom, Professor Kibrom, Professor Iwole, and all the others, on behalf of those who have not participated, I'd like to assure you that we will see how we jump into the train before it gets to a station in February. My excitement derives from the fact that I am a little bit connected with this open MOOC thing. The university that I'm affiliated with is the National Open University of Nigeria. We do quite some MOOCs. And I serve as the chairman of the governing council of that university, as the largest university in the whole of Africa. My university enrolls 600,000 students. And as Professor Iwole himself is aware, we have another platform, which is called Virtual Institute for Capacity Building Higher Education in Africa, reaching out to all stakeholders in higher education in the region. My suggestion will be in 2 areas. One, you have said that we are all going to get the books. Yes, that's fine. But I'd like to suggest that rather than invest in sending out hard copy books, you just send us links to downloadable materials for the book. You will recall